Phu Dao, and this is my final senior project presentation entitled Building Blocks. So this young, radiant woman that you see before you is my mother. Her name is Thi Nguyen. She was born February 15, 1952 in southern Vietnam. Growing up, my mom lived in a neighborhood where it wasn't considered rich. As a matter of fact, it was dirt poor. So in Vietnam, education is considered more of a luxury than it is a necessity. So education costs a lot of money. Coming from a family of 15 kids, coming from the poorest neighborhood in Vietnam, you're really faced with a decision whether to play it safe and kind of spend your money with the necessities such as food, clothing, and water, or kind of take that risk of investing into an education. 95% of the people in this neighborhood played the safe bet, including my mom, and my mom was forced to work at a sweatshop when she was young. My mom, she still had education, but like I said, it's more of a service, so you pay what you get. So she didn't get that great of education. It was 2 hours a day. Afterwards, she would just go home and then just head straight off to the sweatshop and start working, which meant that she didn't have time to do her homework, which led to her ultimately failing and dropping out in her freshman year of high school. This was due to my grandparents' motivation of her rather working rather than pushing education upon her. So this strapping young lad that you see before you is my father, Thong Phu Dao, born October 3rd, 1945. My dad grew up in the same neighborhood as my mom, faced the same kind of economic status. He was a subsistence farmer, which meant what he grew is what he ate. The reason that is because, again, coming from the same neighborhood, my grandparents took a different route than what the majority of people did, which was they invested most of their money into his education rather than playing it safe. So they took a really big risk. And my grandpa lives by a quote, which is, suffer now, live good later. And it's a motto that he still abides by today. And he really did take a big risk. He risked all of his income just so his son can get education. Growing up, my dad, have education pushed upon him, he excelled as a scholar. 6th grade in Vietnam, all students are forced to take this placement test, which ranks you as either 2,000, which is the lowest student you could be, or the top, which is 1. So my dad takes this test, and miraculously, he becomes second in the whole city, and this is the certificate that says so. So my dad gets full scholarship into this school, which is considered basically the Ivy League, Harvard of middle schools and high schools in Vietnam. And he's going to school with kids whose parents just kind of bought their way in. Eventually, my dad goes on, and then he starts to really do really good in school, and he graduates valedictorian class, which puts him into a military academy, which is, again, the top college in Vietnam. And that's my dad now. Sorry. Yeah, let's move on. So let's compare. The similarities between my mom and my dad are they grew up in the same neighborhood, they faced the same hardships, being broke, and just having to really just live off of what they really had. But the difference was that with my dad, my grandparents pushed education on him, which meant that he graduated college and became the first in our family lineage to ever graduate college. And then my mom was forced to work as a child and had a lack of support and education, which eventually made her drop out. The thing is, that's Vietnam, and we're here in America. So I wanted to see for my senior project is the same problem present here? In 2009, when President Obama took office, one of his main driving campaigns was education. And in 2011, he gave a State of the Union address entitled "We Do Big Things," we as America, and big things are accomplishments. So President Obama begins to talk about some of the great accomplishments America has done in the 20th century, such as Wright's brother invention of flight, the Ford's modifications to the assembly line, and the greatest of them all, beating the Russians to the moon. Now, these are all great accomplishments that America has done in the last century, but what has happened now? What's happened now is that America has fallen out of completion rates in the top 10 of the country, being beat out by Australia, Iceland, and so on, much more smaller countries. So the problem of students dropping out is present, but President Obama never really states why kids are dropping out. And that, I came to the conclusion of a lack of motivation. So this was a survey taken by Forbes magazine. In the survey, it asked students who had dropped out what they wished they would have had when they were in school. As you can see, more than half of everyone voted that they wanted more support system, more motivation to go to school. And so that led me to my project, which is a college readiness program. It's a 5-week course, provides academic support, sponsored by the ACE program at BTE, and intended for 4th and 5th graders. Initially, I thought this would be a walk in the park, as one would say. My teachers gave me a lot of flack saying, college readiness for 4th and 5th graders too early. I shrugged them off and I said, you don't know anything about me. Back off. My logic behind that was that I'm 17, these kids are 10. Whatever I feed into their mind, they're going to understand because we have such a small age difference, and initially I thought the way they process and intake information is completely different, or it's like exactly the same as I would. Because I'm able to talk with my teachers who are 37 and I'm 17, that's a 20-year difference. So that's, you know, my teachers, I'm able to stand here and give you guys this presentation, you guys are able to understand what I'm saying, and I thought, well, we have such a big age difference, having a small age difference would actually be more beneficial to me. Initially, it didn't go out so well. So the first activity was like a book-making color activity, and it was harsh. Kids were sassy, it was hard keeping their attention, and I really had to baby them throughout everything. This is one of the questions that a little kid named Edgar asked me was, what color impresses you? Like, I really had to walk him through to what to color and how many colors he should use. That's where I came to think that kids don't have the same thought process as me. And I learned the hard way. What I learned from my mentors was that kids at this, like from the ages of 5 through 12, they're in this stage called the development era, which is where they're just starting to learn how to think and process information. And you know, to push it on them so early and expect that they know it completely backfired on me, and I was really unprepared. But eventually, the kids, through my course, the kids were able to do things individually, and yeah, they were really independent and they really listened to what I said. So when you think of teaching college readiness, you think of SATs, FAFSA, good grades, scholarships, and majors, but is that really all there is to teaching college ready? I asked my sisters, because they've been through pharmacy school and all that, and they graduated, and I asked them, what does it mean to be college ready? Both of them said, you just have to be smart. You have to know everything of everything of everything. And I thought that was a horrible idea. Because with anything in school, you don't have to be smart to go to college. The answers are in your books, they're in your notes, you hear them in the lectures. What really matters is your behavior, you know, whether you have a good work ethic, whether you're able to study, you have the drive to not quit, and that's where I changed my whole perception of a college readiness program. Instead of shoving knowledge into their face, is to shape them better as human beings, basically, to teach them traits and characteristics that will be good to a society. This is an example. So one game that we played was red light, green light. It's an elementary school game that we've all played when we were kids. It goes as followed. I'll yell green light, they run. I yell red light, they stop. Some had trouble with that. And then I'll ask them a question. If they get it right, then they get one free step. And the whole point is to get to the other side. Now, what this really taught them was to think under pressure, because in college and anywhere in life, you're going to be forced to think under pressure. So by teaching them this, it really allowed them to kind of learn and develop a skill and a trait that's beneficial to them, that they can use now instead of push off for 10 years later. So what does college ready mean to you? Again, with my sisters, I asked them about the whole being smart, and they were false information. I could not use that. So I went around school, and I asked a bunch of seniors from New Tech what college ready